Hello. I just realized actually today at church um that I forgot to do my recordings for Thursday and Friday. Uh the week kind of got past me and I didn't even realize. But that's okay. I'm going to do both of those today and try to get ahead overall. Try to get things taken care of, making sure that I will actually get things overall taken care of for next week. And even though next week we don't have Wednesday, we don't have um really a lot of things going on because Thanksgiving. I hope that everyone has a fantastic week and that everyone can really get into the spirit of the Christmas season coming up, but also if you have been distracted, if you've been um, unable to have that mindset of being thankful. Like I know sometimes that can be difficult. I hope you'll be able to find good things and even the small things to be thankful for. So the betrayal that is foreseen at during the Passover uh, is just it's really it's just the fact that Judas Iscariot, like the fact that we touched on his betrayal in the very last chapter, so chapter 13. And I think it was chapter 13. Let me double check there. And I'm losing my marbles. Um, and with this though, not really mattering of exactly when Judas decided to betray Christ, but the importance here is the fact that um, in my opinion, of how Christ responds to him in this. So, actually, no, it was within this chapter. That's what I was thinking. Yes, I found it. It was in verse 10. Jesus Iscariot, then Jesus Iscariot, one of the 12, went to the chief priests to betray Jesus to them. And when they heard this, they were glad and promised to give him money. So they started looking for a good opportunity to. He looked for a good opportunity to betray him. So all of this was being said and done. Now, this is all happening within a week's time, from the entrance to the triumphant entry to now. And so let's get into it and let's really dive into this passage here. When evening came, he arrived with the 12. While they were reclining and eating, Jesus said, "Truly I tell you, one of you will betray me, one who is eating with me." They began to be distressed and say to him, one by one, "Surely not I." He said to them, It is one of the 12, the one who is dipping bread in the bowl with me. For the Son of Man will go just as it is written about him. But woe to that man whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It would have been better for him if he had not been born. That's a lot to take in. I got Dunkin' Donuts before coming home, just so we're clear. Um, so let's take this kind of check section by section. I don't know if y'all can hear that, but there's a siren going on, and I'm hoping everything's okay. So they arrived at evening time, all of them, the 12 and him. And this was probably one of the better images I could find. I was trying to find like a picture of what people kind of imagine Judas and him being. And what's interesting, you have to think about it in this way. He was one of the ones that was sitting near him. Now, I'm assuming that it wasn't a giant table. Like it might have been about the size of my coffee table, which is about not even a foot, maybe a foot and a half, give or take a foot. Excuse me, taller, a few feet tall, but uh, not a foot, 2 feet, but not important to this. But it wasn't a large table because unlike the painting from uh, Leonardo da Vinci, I believe, where it depicts everyone on one side of the table. They're, I can guarantee they're on both sides of the table. So he was, Christ was probably at the very center on this side. I don't know where he would be pointing, but you can't see my hands. So like he was like here, and it could have been Judas in front of him. It could have been Judas here. Like there's 5 areas where he could have been sitting. So and there's 12. So, but the fact that he says, one of you will betray me, one who is eating with me. What is interesting there is, what does that specifically mean? Like there, like why does it say? Why does Christ say, "One who is eating with me"? They're all eating. They're all reclining. Also, let's also picture the reclining kind of concept, because when they say reclining, they use a lot of people use the concept of bean bags, which I think is sometimes weird, but bean bags as like you kind of lean back and you kind of sink into a bean bag. And so there is that kind of a visual. And every single one of them, which is interesting, is they began to be distressed and say to him one by one. It doesn't say all of them or not, but he said they each say, "Surely not I." And so it is one of the 12. What's important there is the fact that he has to then not really repeat, because he doesn't say specifically in the first half, but then mentions one to 12. So obviously, not obvious, but is he saying that there are those who are not the 12 with them there that evening? The one who's dipping bread in the bowl with me. I find that interesting because what are you dipping the bread into? That just weird thought I have. Y'all know how weird my thoughts can be. So, um, but for the Son of Man will go just as is written about him. But woe to that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It would have been better if he had not been born. That's a lot to take in. Um, Now, with this, I find this interesting. For the Son of Man is a reference back to Mark 2:10, which we've already touched on that earlier this semester. Just as is written Mark 1:2, Acts 15:15 about him. And then it actually goes to Daniel 7:21 and 25 and 9:26. So 7:21. So let's look up Daniel 7:21. So 7:21 and 25. So as I was watching, this horn raged war against the holy ones and was prevailing over them. Interesting how that connects to that. I do not know. He will speak words against the Most High and oppose the holy ones of the Most High. He will intend to change religious festivals and laws, and the holy ones will be handed over to him for a time, and times and a half a time. I can see what the connections they're making there, but those are the connections specifically to Daniel. I wanted to make sure you guys are seeing that as well. Now there is another reference that kind of talks on the woe, woe to the man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It references Revelation 9:12. So let's go into 9:12. Let's see what John has to say in 9:12. And I stand by, I do believe that it was in fact John, not John the Baptist, just so we're clear. John the disciple who wrote Revelation. The first woe has passed. There are still two more woes to come after. I do not remember that. Well, this is a reference to something else, but we're not going to go into that. But this was the first woe. This was the first instinct that this is the first thing that had to happen. Yes, it had to happen, but woe to you for doing this. Um, I think in a lot of ways, people call God cruel for condemning his own son, and he's this for doing this. He's horrible for allowing his son to die on the cross. It's horrible for him to, do this, to do what he has done to Christ and to the others. But one of the things that's interesting is Judas had the ability to choose what he did, and yet he chose to betray Christ. So, could he have not chosen to do that with free will? I do believe he could have, but that would have gone on to someone would have eventually, or someone would have betrayed him either way, because the way that Christ spoke, the way that Christ did what he did, stepped on toes, and he caused kind of issues within the people because of the fact of he was teaching the word of God and not just what the people wanted. So there's a lot to touch on, and in the next video, which I'll do real fast, again, I do apologize for being a little behind there. I honestly forgot about it, which it happens. But there will be no recording for Wednesday night. I'll just do the quick recordings for each day though, and try to get that rolling. I'll try to have a better schedule as this is coming to a close, and this gospel is coming to a close for our study, so that we can have a more consistency with everything, especially with me and my new classes next semester. So I hope everyone has a fantastic week, weekend, and leading for this week with Thanksgiving. I hope everyone has a fantastic Thanksgiving.